Hi, my name is Anjum, and in this video I will explain how to upgrade your website that is built years ago using a classic PHP to a modern architecture like MVC or Laravel in a more practical and realistic way. A classic PHP or ASP websites are the monoliths where everything that data, design and logic are all fused together in a single tangled mass or a spaghetti code where each page works as a single standalone application with both the program code as well as the HTML code mixed together with hundreds of lines of code leading to a structure that is not only difficult to maintain but also difficult to scale and also insecure as well. And after years of extensions and upgrades, the websites no longer has a solid foundation for the business. Think of a classic PHP websites like an old house that has been repeatedly renovated and extended over the period of years. Initially it works, but over the period of time the cumulative changes make it unsustainable or unmaintainable. So it becomes necessary to switch or an upgrade because the legacy system has poor maintainability, scalability and also the poor performance, and also has security hazards and poor user experience, and also integration with the modern third-party services is also limited. So the question is, what are the possible upgrade options? Most common upgrade options are like MVC or SPA architectures like React, Vue.js or Angular, or maybe MVC architecture like Coordinator or Laravel or even .NET Core. Modern MVC or SPA websites are built with the separation of concern in mind. They are architectured like a well-planned building with a distinct blueprint each. MVC separates the application into logical layers like data, business logic and presentation on separate layers, while the SPA takes it a little further by completely separating the front end, what the users interact with, from the back end, a pure data API. So apparently it seems quite simple, then why not to migrate? Switching to an MVC or SPA actually isn't just an upgrade, because you cannot simply migrate the old monoliths because they have a fundamentally different architecture and totally incompatible. It is not a translation problem but actually a re-architecturing problem, as converting a spaghetti code into a structured code, and a migration tool cannot untangle the fused code of a classic site into magically identifying the different parts of logic, data and presentation and putting all these code into their respective places and into a separate layers as required by the modern architectures. This requires a human analysis and redesign efforts. So if that is the case, then why not to develop and simply replace it in one go? But the problem is, for a system that has been iteratively built and tested and refined over many years cannot be replaced in a single big bang release. But it will be more practical instead that both of the systems and both of the websites should run side by side with the progressive migration. And this strategy not only minimizes the risks and deliver continuous value but also ensures the business continuity. So what to do to achieve this? So let's move forward and go through all the steps to not only progressively upgrade but also run the classic PHP and Laravel applications side by side for some time. Your old classic PHP website will continue to run on your old URL for some time, while the new Laravel application will run under that main URL, and both will share many things like same sessions, databases, upload folders and also the authentication or logout logic. And we will gradually migrate pages and logic progressively from the legacy PHP to the Laravel or Livewire application, and users need not to re-log in and will seamlessly switch between the old and new sections of your application. Okay, now here we have the two web applications side by side. On the left side, we have the old legacy PHP based web application, while on the right hand side, we have the new Laravel web application that is currently under development. And routes on a conventional PHP are managed using .htxs file that you are currently viewing, while on the Laravel, the routes are mostly managed using web.php in the routes folder. And as you can see somewhere over here, and all other the contents of this application, and remaining code will be developed side by side of this application. And session information in classic PHP is stored inside PHP sys id cookie in the file system, while Laravel maintains session information in the database. These are some of the differences between the two, and while running both applications side by side, we have to manage. Step 1, copy files. So here is the directory structure of a classic PHP application, in which we will create a Laravel folder inside with all the contents and dependencies in the vendor folder. That's more important. Now currently we have copied the Laravel folder inside. At first we need to check everything is working. Now we have created a route, and now we have checked that it is working. Now next step is session sharing. Now session information that is created inside the parent application should be passed on to the child. So here are the steps. We will create here we need to find out the session folder where the session is being maintained. Now that is the path, and we need to print the session ID, and later on we need to copy that path into this place, as you can see over here, and copy this code in the beginning. Now both apps will have to share the same session information. Next step is to access the variables that have been created in the parent application. For this we need to check the parent application. Here we have a parent application config.php. Your application may have a different files. Now, so first of all, need to find out these are some of the applications. Now first of all, need to print this session information, for which we need to go to the web routes and create a new route over here, check sessions, as well as a check session details, which is a little particular. Now you can see its output. These are all the session variables from the parent. Now these variables could vary depending upon this, whether user is logged in or not. And now here we have created these public variables in the child, and now on the child side we can see that we are getting these variables. Now we have acquired a session information. Now need to auto login. Now point is the user has to be logged in from the parent application. Now this information should be copied by the child. We need to go to the app. Inside the app we need to go providers and app service provider. In the app service providers boot section, now we need to copy this session ID of the logged in user, query the database, and assign that user to the auth facade. Now wherever this information will be required, the like auth ID or everything will be auto populated. Like as you can see in the blade and many other places, we need to check the user, find the user, and everything. Now we need to change the session driver. By default the session driver is database. We need to modify that. We need to go to the web.php web environment folder. Now these are the session parameters that we need to change from database to array or file. This is very important, otherwise it will create problems for us. So app URL also need to be changed, because assets and many other things depend on this. Now correct the links and paths. Now this is very important, because maybe possible not all these things may be vary, because in your application maybe there will be a menu bar, or maybe header or footer, or anything that is common. We need to modify that, and in a way that same header may be copied to the child, or maybe if you want both to have a separate headers, vary. And we need to edit the links the way I am doing over here, because here this web URL folder, web URL session variable carries the root URL, that is common, and we need to adjust that. Later on, Livewire routes. In this application we are using Livewire, and Livewire send an AJAX request, and in current setup it will not work. We need to adjust that. Now to adjust that, we need to copy these two lines, and we will copy these two lines to our web.php. In the web.php, at any suitable place, copy these lines. And now we need to adjust this get URL as per yours. Now secondly, file sharing. Now files in upload and any other things that work. Like in old PHP, we have an upload and property location where the files user uploads are stored, while in the Laravel it is stored in the storage folder, storage app, and inside here public folder, and inside it further folders depending upon the application. Now both stores information in different places, but we need to have a same. Now go to the config file system PHP, create a new disk, and edit this information as per yours. Need to have a root and URL array like this. Visibility should be public. Now this property uploads disk will be used at multiple places, like over here in property images page. Now this is the line to store the user upload image, while on the other page now it is to display the upload user uploaded image. Now further over here, it's also another code snippet where we are displaying the user upload images. Some more examples. Now here is a loop inside the loop. Now one thing works. Now later on, we may be possible you have an API endpoint. We need to correct that as well. In my application, I'm not using any API calls like that is in routes and API folder. If you have, you need to adjust it as well. Now we have to have need to have a shared logout as well. Copy this code, it is given, and go to the web routes folder and go paste it as well. Now I have already pasted it over here. Now this shared logout session will work in both ways. Now come to some new changes. We have added some new pages, added its routes in the routes folder. Now we need to check whether these two pages are working or not. Navigate to this route and let's check it out. Yeah, now this route is working. Property image, now property add, next route. Okay, let's check it out. Now it's also working. Also it has menu bars and other working. I'm not going into the details of this particular page, but it's working. Now adjust the environment variable. Now adjust the environment variable. Now this step should be the first, but I mentioned it last. And now the database connection need to be adjusted. Both old and new applications should communicate with the same database. Now in this variable, now over here we need to adjust the database connection as per both. Now modify the eloquent database models. Now over here for this we need to go to the PHP myadmin. First of all, we need to check what are the tables over here. Now I have many tables. Now users table, over here I have a TB agent table. Maybe you have different. In the users table we have a user ID. Over here it is not. So things may vary. Some of the things that Laravel do with some sort of conventions, definitely things will not like that, so the conventions not follow. I'm not going to details of these conventions, so things need to be adjusted. Now go to the users folder. We need to mention the actual table protected, otherwise we not. Also need to mention the primary key variable, what actually it is. So many other variables. So go to the second table, and also the fillables we need to define, and also the table name, most important, so that it just, and also the relationships if required. Similarly another table. Now either here we have a timestamp that is false, because there is no, by default there are create date and update date that are not here. Here we have, now over here we have created at column with a different name. We need to adjust that. Const created at. Similarly primary key and table attribute we need to adjust that. Similarly we have a sectors table and all other different tables. Most of the places we simply need to change the name. So at these adjustments varies. And now at the end, let me introduce you people to my future upcoming video. in which I will teach you how to develop a real estate web application using Livewire and Laravel with mapping support. Here we have a real estate web application, as you can see on the screen for the demonstration. It is an inspiration from Xylo.com, not an exact clone, but just an inspiration. Here you have an options to log in and register. Once log in, you can search using multiple input parameters. As you can see, search using geographic coordinates as well. Once you click the search button, you will navigate to the property listing components, as you can see. And it's a reusable component that will be reused at multiple places in this application, you will see later. And you have multiple options, only an array list of parameters in past. No full page refresh, feels like SPA. Here you are viewing the property details, while search results remain in the background. This property list component itself a container of multiple property items that it loops through, and it is further contains the property details component that currently you are looking. More components like image list and map locator inside. So overall, a component based development using Livewire. And as you can see, without an Ajax or limited JavaScript support wherever necessary. Coming back to the top, let's see what we have. Here we have a dynamic geographic selection component. As you can see, here you select the city and corresponding towns, and further geography is populated automatically, as you can see. And that's all using Ajax and without full page refresh. It's not with Ajax, but with a Livewire, sorry, and without full page refresh. And this selection component will be reused while adding the property that you will see later on. And user have the option to sign in or register. Here we have used the Laravel Breeze starter kit. As you can see, once logged in, user can add a property. Now we are at the property adding page. All the available input parameters, as you can see. Now over here, inputs dynamic enable disable, as you can see, and other functionalities, some validation rules, anything. Here we have again a same geographic selection component as we have seen earlier, I have mentioned. And again, in this component we have multi-level geographic selection and auto population of corresponding geographies, as you can see, using Livewire, not with Ajax. And furthermore, we have become multiple image selection component, as you can see on the screen, and select appropriate images that you like. I think this is better. Wait for a while and let's see what we have. Okay, now thumbnails of each available. Enter the title for each image that will be displayed to the buyer, and after that we have option to enter the lat long or select the geographic coordinates if you want. It is not recommended, not necessary, it's not required. Most users avoid to pinpoint their locations for various reasons, and instead only prefer to enter the select the geographies above, and that cause problems. But we have a solution for it, and I will show later how we tackle that for the searching. Next come the user profile section, and it shows all the login user specific information over here that is relevant to him. He can also edit this all of this information. As you can see, we are on the audit page. Select image or change a company logo, vCard or profile photo, whatever he want, or delete any existing information he like. He can do that. Samely changing the user type, the below tab dynamically appears or disappears, as you can see on the screen. Okay, next come the navigate to the profile view, and from profile next come to user properties listing tab. Over here we have user can see different properties of him. Click the view button, and over here, as you can see, this is the same property detail component that we have seen earlier, and invoke via event call or intent call, and a classic code reuse and efficient design, as you can see. And now we have an edit property button as well over here. Now if you can observe and imagine that it's the same component that we have seen previously to the add property, and it has been reused with some minor changes. So again, it is a reused component with all the selected property details fetched for update now. Previously it was empty. Next, move to the most unique map searching functionality, as you can see on the screen. And here we user find properties on its geographic or physical coordinates. Draw a circle on the map, as you can see. Click the search button, and now here as you can observe, we have again the same common property listing component that I have mentioned earlier is again Here we have but now it is invoked again, but with a different array list of properties depending upon the above search parameters. And here map only show the properties with the valid coordinates on the map, while listing is maybe different. Here the map only shows so as told earlier, not all users enter the coordinates, so that's why the listing below is indirectly queried. What does it mean? I think let me explain now. Indirectly queried means actually we identify the geographies first. I mean that towns or sectors that you can see on the tab over here, and all the properties that either contained in these geographies are then queried that belongs to these geographies. So the listing, it depends upon the geographies, not the circle. Seems a little complicated, but we have handled it. Now look at the unique URL of the selected property that is unique and required for the search engine optimization. Now here we can see the actual geography as well, where user have entered the corresponding correct lat long. Okay, searching, select the different points on the map, and let's see what are the results we have. Generate different geographies and listing. And over here, if you can see, let's search reset. Now we are doing, now how we are doing, let's go to the comes to the database side. Here we have the city table with the geometric column, as you can see on the screen. Now geometry data type is used to mark the boundaries. Geometry type and it's just used for spatial searches. A little complicated, and also each geography has a unique OSM relation ID. Now how we get this? Basically we go to the GeoJSON website, and over here we basically mark the boundaries, and on the right hand side we will have the corresponding data of the boundary that is required for our geometry column. And we copy this, and we need further processing, not simply copied over here. And but things are automated using artisan commands. I will explain later how they are doing. But here we have the procedure return that actually return the list of properties with input coordinates, lat long and radius that earlier, and similarly other that returns the geographies, I mean city, town and everything, or list of geographies. Multiple search options in the menu above, but you can see, but all returns to the same property listing component that we have seen earlier. And it's all reused. Each property item, if have multiple images, as you can see over here, it will display a carousel like this, otherwise they will not display. And since we have a limited images on the development system, so it is not so accurate. Location mark will be displayed on any property where it lat long are entered, otherwise a radius will be given with approximate marking. And that's all. Thanks for watching and hope you like it.